Well, it's a massive crisis that has hit India's public sector banks. Many of them have posted a huge jump in their bad loans, such as Punjab National Bank, that has just posted a 93% fall in profits in its third quarter after its bad loans doubled. It basically means that the bank lent out money which was never repaid, and now their loans are being written off to bail them out. In fact, the amount is staggering. In September 2015, the banks reported that their non-performing assets or bad loans had gone up to over 8 lakh crores. That was up from 25% from the previous year. According to an RTI filed by the Indian Express, 29 public sector banks have written off more than 1 lakh crores of bad debts between the years 2013 and 2015 alone. That's, I think, accounts for more than the last 9 years put together. The government had last year announced that it was going to be putting in 70,000 crores in state-owned banks to help them over 4 years. But the big question is, why don't the banks name the defaulters, who they are? Are these big business houses who have been loaned money, whose projects haven't been taken off? And should taxpayers be bailing them out at the end of the day? Well, we have Siddharth Birla, the former president of FICCI, joining us tonight, Siddharth Nath Singh of the BJP, Pawan Verma, Rajya Sabha MP of the JDU, M.K. Venu, founding editor of The Wire, and Hemendra Hazari, a banking expert who joined us tonight from Mumbai. Mr. Hazari, let me ask you first, how bad is the situation today? How worried should we be?
The situation is extremely bad, and the situation is going to get much worse from here. This, what you're seeing and where the press and the markets are extremely worried about, is merely the tip of the iceberg. What you're going to see is going to be much worse. There are many more large business groups which are in problems, and they have, each business group will have a minimum exposure to the banking industry of 40 to 50,000 crores. So all those type of loan accounts are going to hit the banking sector. So there are very bad days to come for the entire banking sector, and since the PSUs are a large market leader, they are going to be gravely impacted.
Well, Siddharth Nath Singh, the point is that this actually started a few years ago. It's not something that began when the NDA government came to power. We, I think, saw the first signs of a problem after the 2008 economic crisis, and then it just got worse and worse. And particularly in the last couple of years, we've seen this crisis worsen. What has happened, Siddharth Nath Singh? Why is the situation at this crisis point today?
Well, Nidhi, you rightly said that it's something which hasn't started in 2 years' time when BJP came into government. But let me I won't be so alarmist like Mr. Hazari has been. I would rather look into the bank quality assets deeply, and then we'll realize that there is an old legacy, and where the large part of the stress with the PSU banks belongs to the old legacy. Now the flip side is, or the good side is, that the remaining part or the significant part doesn't belong to the old legacy. So that is an improvement, I would say. Now, having said that, I would rather look into it that in December 2013, just to give you, I'm not going to get into a blame game, but for a better understanding, in December 2013, RBI had come that 17 trillion rupees worth of projects in India are stuck up because of clearances. Similarly, RBI came up that 3.25 lakh crores worth of projects have gone for with the banks for asset restructuring, and it was out of control. Now this stress asset, when we talk about, is a recognition which should have been done by RBI, by the government, and addressed there and there. Now, when I am saying this, there is a recognition by the government, there is a recognition by the RBI, there is a solution which is being provided through asset recovery companies. Government is going to back them up. There is government is pushing through capitalization by 70,000 crore. Then all these put together, government has made a target by March 2017. The banks which are stressed, they will be de-stressed and things will improve. And therefore, yes, I will admit that it is a taxpayer's money, but the taxpayer's money in the first place were being laundered by giving on a low equities loans to certain companies which did not deserve. Now you need to clear it.
Singh, as a taxpayer, I would want to know who is it that's defaulting on these loans. As a taxpayer, let me ask Mr. Pawan Verma this question, because the opposition has made this an issue. Because the opposition, Mr. Verma, has made this an issue, saying, I mean, the AAP said it's a ploy to siphon off taxpayers' money. I'll come back to you, Mr. Singh. I just want to get the opposition in on this.
With Mr. Singh speak.
Yeah. So, Mr. Verma, what is the main demand of opposition parties like the JDU? Are you saying that those people who have defaulted on these loans, that the people have a right to know who these people are? I mean, if I was to default on a loan to my bank tomorrow or not pay my credit card bill, I don't get the privileges of using my credit card again.
No, without a doubt, Nidhi, this matter cannot be restricted only to a financial analysis of the amount of bad debt against the possible liquidity of these banks. It must be seen in the perspective of two things. One is political patronage, and I am here not pointing a finger to any party, so Mr. Singh should not get worried. Political patronage which enables, facilitates, promotes bad loans for returns which are linked up to how our electoral system works in practice. Secondly, lack of transparency and efficiency in big ticket infrastructure projects. Where loans are provided to companies, then the companies cannot deliver because government's policies are not transparent or economically sustainable. And so it sets into train a vicious cycle of which compliant banks which don't carry out due diligence as a result of extraneous pressure are the primary parties guilty. The anonymity and relative insularity from action which big companies enjoy is the second culprit. And thirdly, the manner in which the economy is being run. For instance, take infrastructure, which is a big target of these loans, I mean destination. How can power projects run if you don't raise tariff or allow tariffs to be raised or to allow projects to become economically sustainable? So where do you place the problem is the question. And certainly we want far greater transparency in this entire matter.
So Siddharth Birla, let me ask you that. This call for greater transparency, should it begin by naming those who have not paid back their loans? Very simple question.
Nidhi, I think the problem is a little more complex than you're making out. I am not commenting whether the name should be given or not, because that is a matter of regulation. And the banking experts will probably tell you that. But to my mind, if the names are to be sought, there are enough analysts all around the place who actually put out all the names of the parties which could be under stress.
Credit Suisse
so I don't think that there's anything, just because we want somebody to be named or we want a lot of people to be named, probably the law doesn't allow that, but I'll leave that to the interpretation of the banking experts. If I could just come in here, the gentleman from the banking sector in Bombay, he raised pretty alarming, I think his statement was pretty alarming. Let me give you my read. And I also will refer to some stuff that was carried on NDTV's website today. See, a lot of these loans, I personally don't think that many loans are turning bad as of today. Because by and large the industry is either stable or it's picking up or it's not in as bad shape as it was in the last 3 to 4 years. Now what we are seeing happening in the banking sector is that these bad loans are now being accounted for. Partly because of passage of time and they have to be written off, partly because of the pressure of Reserve Bank of India, and I believe correctly that, let us clean up the balance sheets. Let's come up with clean balance sheets and let's see exactly where we are. So I think what we are seeing this quarter after quarter provisioning in the banking accounts is not a reflection of what is happening today, but simply a recognition of what has already happened in the last 3 years. It is just being accounted for.
All right, so
I think it's very
that's an
important
interesting
to make
take.
that distinction.
Okay, that's a very interesting take. Venu, do you agree with that? I mean, there are very different perspectives you're getting, from Mr. Hazari, who's a banking expert, Siddharth Birla saying it's not as dire as it seems. Where do you stand? How do you analyze it?
See, Nidhi, the problem is very serious. So to that extent, I go with the banker. I also agree with Siddharth that it's not happened today, but equally it has to be said that this problem should have been recognized a year ago. The government delayed recognizing the problem of forcing the bank. Government is the owner of the banks, right? What Punjab National Bank has done today to reveal the rot, they could have done 6 months ago, 1 year ago. And Punjab National Bank, the amount of non-performing bad loans that they've declared, it virtually wipes out their capital. Now, this could be true for other banks also. Punjab National Bank, by the way, second largest bank by deposits. So therefore, the problem is very dire. And Nidhi, it is for this reason that after Jaitley's budget in 2015, the entire PSU banking universe, they still had a market value of $80 billion. Today, it's half, $40 billion. It is reduced to half. And the entire PSU...
Why can't we know who the defaulters are? I mean, Abdullah says he's not sure.
I'm saying something else.
Hasn't the RBI governor said that there needs to be more transparency in this?
The stock market is worried. The market is reading that something is really serious, which is not being, the truth of which is not being revealed. That's why the market value of banks have collapsed so much that today the entire 40 plus PSU banks are valued at less than one HDFC. Can you believe it? HDFC, there was a time when State Bank of India was the third largest, market capitalized bank.
But that's quite alarming.
2010, and today State Bank is probably less than half of HDFC. So that's the alarming part, which nobody can deny. How can anybody deny that the entire PSU bank universe is less than the value of just one HDFC? I mean, I just can't get over this.
No, so Mr. Hazari, when you hear when Siddharth Birla and Siddharthnath Singh say that your reading of the situation is alarmist, how would you respond to that? Is it alarmist?
It is alarmist.
Although Venu agrees with you, he believes it is alarming.
See, I've been saying this for nearly 2 years now, that a tsunami of bad debts is going to hit the banking sector. At that time also I was regarded as alarmist, and now we are seeing the kind of slippages that banks are reporting is taking the market by surprise. Now yes, it is true that some of these loans are legacy loans, but the point here is it is not just a question of naming and shaming some of these corporates. A lot of these infrastructure projects have been set up at inflated costs. In some of these power projects, Chinese equipment has been priced at German prices. There's been massive siphoning off of projects, of the monies. Now it is it's the government's responsibility to go after these corporate borrowers, and where there is sufficient evidence produced by the Enforcement Directorate and the Central Bureau of Investigation, they should be jailed. Once the other corporates realize that there is a penalty and a severe penalty to pay, you will find that cash recoveries from some of these borrowers will increase tremendously.
So you believe that,
no doubt that
they're being handled with kid gloves? In other words, you believe the big industrial houses are being treated with kid gloves here?
Most definitely, yes. That is the main issue today. The moment
this is the point I was making.
This is important. No, this is Venu. Just give me a second. Siddharthnath Singh, do you want to comment on that? That there need to be severe penalties on big corporate houses that have
I want to comment on two things.
Yeah, sure.
One, what the recipe Venu is giving, my good friend is giving, is that do not recognize there are bad loans, so the balance sheet doesn't take on account, so the credit market or the stock market behaves and gives them a higher valuation. Now, if when we came into government, immediately the RBI and the government, please, Venu, I did not disturb you. Please listen to me, you can come back to me. Now, when we came into the government, we immediately, along with RBI, decided that the banks need to do a stress test and then take the option how to recognize, wipe out, or what would be the help the government needs to give. Now, in that process, you do need to take absolutely on the balance sheet what is the reality. Now, if the reality is bad, you don't hide it. You need to fight it and take it to the next step, because India is ticking, India needs to grow, the credit offtake will increase, so the balance sheet needs to be genuine. Now you need to go into the market with a clear balance sheet. So there are other steps to be taken.
Siddharth, I have a question from a viewer on Twitter. Someone who tweeted us.
The finance minister finance minister will be announcing in the budget.
Let me just read out a question a viewer has just sent. Paying high taxes is the biggest burden for the middle class. Why should we bail out banks? Siddharth, it's a simple question. You know, why should taxpayer money
Certainly
be
there
used?
it is right. But no, there is no denying to it, Nidhi. The people who looted, or the political class which allowed on a low equity a high loan to be given, which was not desirable, they need to be punished also. That was also taxpayers' money. Now, if that is sitting on the balance sheet of a bank, and the bank has to pay interest on it, that is also a taxpayer's money.
Okay, Venu wants to come in and then Mr.
The
Verma.
government has to step in, otherwise the economy through the banking system will collapse.
No, Nidhi, what I'm saying is, Siddharth has probably got me wrong. What I'm saying is, this problem should have been recognized by Mr. Jaitley in the last budget, February 2015, when the position
Well, in a sense he did, because he did announce 70,000 crores.
Venu, this was recognized. Venu, I'm interrupting you. This was recognized and the steps were taken in 2015. Therefore it is being addressed.
No, I'm saying something else. I'm saying that the banks should have started making provisioning.
I think you got it wrong, Venu.
Recognizing the bad loans in 2015, beginning
Because
2015. And so if they had done that, the truth would have been known, and at that time the global economy, Indian economy was still better off. Today, the timing of the recognition is so bad because there are already global economic headwinds.
You're saying it's too late?
Yeah, it's too late.
But okay, you know, the question then, Pavan Verma, again a viewer has written to us, Pavan Verma, saying that the governments, various governments, one second Siddharth, that governments have ignored the problem over the years.
What has been done?
That governments have, this is what one viewer Gautam has written to us, governments have ignored the problem over the years. Why turn to the taxpayer now? Why can't corporates be held accountable? Pavan Verma.
No, I believe they should, as commensurate with certain banking laws. But I think the malaise has gone beyond merely the niceties of creeping anonymity. The fact of the matter, Nidhi, is that the decisions taken after 2015, including the release of 70,000 crores for PSUs in the banking sector, it's like keeping your head above water just marginally. You have to go to the real malaise. And as far as the cozy relationship between politics and certain big business is concerned, it's not confined to one party alone. Now, if you don't come to the real malaise, then you will continue to try band-aid solutions to a very major problem, which is going to affect your economy.
Siddharth Birla, band-aid solutions.
That is my real point.
Is that what's happening? Band-aid solutions?
Sorry, I didn't catch your word. Sorry.
Pavan Verma is saying that these are band-aid solutions. The real problem is not being recognized here.
Actually, the subject is very complex, but let me quickly cover 2 or 3 aspects. Number one, I think some very serious things have been said regarding promoters, the managements, the way the companies have been run. And I would like to make it absolutely clear that neither, say, FICCI as an organization, neither us as responsible businessmen at all condone such things if they have happened and where they have happened. If and where they have happened, they have to be detected and punished in accordance with law. So let's not mix up the overall real problem with the manufactured problem. This is one. Number two, as I think Venu also pointed out, when ultimately many things which are done in an economy are done out of political choice. You and I still don't know, because we don't have the details of the amounts that are being provided. How much of this is actually also happening because of the loan melas and the amounts that were given away to farmers, and they were, for social support, they were given. These are political choices. Money given to Air India, for example, to keep Air India afloat has been given by the banks.
That's true.
And that is a political choice. Okay. So those are the amounts which are today, those skeletons are falling out of the cupboard. Now, let us say whatever is the reason. The fact is that in 2014, when this new government was coming in, and I was president of FICCI, we had estimated that the banking sector required a recapitalization of at least 4 lakh crores. Now 4 lakh crores could not have come out of a taxpayer's kitty under any circumstances. So so this 70,000 crores may have been a beginning towards that 4 lakh crores. But what we had suggested, in order not to burden the central exchequer or the taxpayer, we said that let us re-rate the banking and allow 26, bring down the government holdings to 26% or 25% plus a golden share, the way it was done in the UK. So they can maintain strategic control, but allow it to be funded from the market, allow greater accountability of the money that is raised.
Right.
And that is the kind of problem that we could see in 2014.
Okay,
and it is now turning
I
out
just
that
have
the
30
problem is
seconds
more severe.
on that. I'll give the last word to Venu on that, because what Siddharth Birla is saying is very important, which is
I-
why everyone's going to be looking to see what Mr.
Again, I'm
Jaitley
coming back to
says.
the point. This problem was known a year ago. In fact, I interviewed Siddharth Birla when this government came, and FICCI even suggested an asset reconstruction company, which government is proposing today. There are newspaper reports.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Credit Suisse list of 10 big groups which have run up 7.5 lakh crore of loans, of which half of them are said to be bad, the same list existed in last year in Feb when Jaitley, finance minister, presented the budget. So this has been there for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think,
in fact, this has been there since 2012 when economy went down.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Even
saying that this
before
has
that.
been created
Yeah.
by this government, but
Yeah.
I'm saying this government was late in recognizing it.
And I think, therefore, all eyes will be on the finance minister and his budget speech this time to see what
Nidhi, I don't
exactly
think
will
that's
be
a very
announced
fair
by him.
comment
I'd like to thank
to
you all
end
for
with.
joining us. It's a complex subject, yes, but I think one that affects everyone and one that needed to be debated and discussed tonight. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening. We'll be back tomorrow night at the same time.